Okay, so yeah, so the next class now is let me close this. Now we're going to be looking at the configuration. So we have something called the first level configuration. So this is more like the things that actually needs to get you started. That it is compulsory for you to do this in terms of maybe you want to brand or you want to keep compliance. So just follow what I'm going to be teaching. First thing, first level setup that you need are company profile, um, users or role setup, that is those that will be working on the system. Users are people, they could be let me use the word, they are your staff. They are your staff that you give access to use the system. So let's assume that you have a sales rep and you have a cashier. So the sales rep is the person that actually make the sales, raise the invoice. Then you have another person that is cashier. What that does is just to collect money from your customers, while you is to check or give an overview of the whole thing. So in that situation, we can have three users on the system. The first one is a cashier, the second one is an invoicing officer, then the third person is you. So you can create as many users as you want, but on the paid version of what's it called, of Zoho, you might be needing, you will be able to give them access. Yeah, you'll be able to create the access yourself and give it to them. But on this free platform is a different way. We are going to see how it works. We're going to see how it works. Then now, compliance with the tax setup, you need to create the tax. For instance, VAT needs to be created. VAT needs to be created if you are going to want, if you want this VAT to reflect on your invoice, and you also want to be able to calculate VAT on the system. So that there are many reasons why you should have your VAT setup or your tax setup. Please, apart from the fact that it is legislation, it is government policy, you need it to also get grants. You need it to be situation whereby they can request for it. So now also my head in Nigeria, the federal government has said that anybody not paying tax, that the account should be freeze, that the account should be frozen. So in that situation, how do you then support whatever you have done? I think the best thing is for you to just accommodate that on your system. Please, you need to accommodate that on your system. Then we also look at currencies. For different currencies and exchange rates, you might want to create different exchange rates on your system and the currencies that they reflect on. So these are the things that we are going to be doing. So the first aspect is let's do the company or organization profile setup. So I'll go back here. So like I have said, so going back this part, look at, there are two settings here. There is one setting icon, or you call it the gear icon here, and there's another one here. So if I am on the dashboard, you see that I don't have that. So this is a general setting, while the other one is a specific setting to the module you have created. Please take note of that. This setting here, you will see it here again. You can see, you will see it here again. Now these are specific modules settings. there are specific settings to a particular module that you have clicked here. So why this is the same thing all through. This is the same thing all through. So now click on settings. Now come to organization profile. Click organization profile. So you have opportunity to include your logo. You can see your logo. So you can add your logo here. For instance, let me remove this logo. Let me say I have removed it. So you have something here called upload your logo. So all you just need to do is to click it, then just click on this. You understand? So I'm not going to save this. Let me say I'm not going to save it when the time comes. So now you give an organization name. So what's the name of your organization? Oh, the Mouthful Chops catering services or something. You put it here. Abby's what's it called? Abby Foods, Abby Logistics. You can have that here. Then what industry does it belong to? If you don't know, you can leave it. What business type? So the industry, there are different industry that it belongs to. So you can choose the one that is peculiar to yours. Then the business type, is it a freelance for profit business or an NGO? You can choose for profit business here. Then location, where's your business location? You can select it here. This is compulsory. So if you see it asterisk like this and in red, it means it is compulsory. Then you can also have the company address here. This will display most of this information you are putting here, like this, and this will display on your documents. That is the invoices you are sending to your customer. These are the information that will display there. So you need to have this on the system. Now, would you like to add a separate address for receiving payment? Just leave this. What it's saying is that if there is a receiving payment separate from this, would you like to? So if you click this, it will ask you to put the receiving address there. For this training purpose, you can leave it on. Now, look at this place, primary contact. So because you have used this name to register, which is the ID, the email address, this is what is going to use, the system is going to use to send email to your customers. Any email exchange that is going to be doing, this is what is going to be using. This is, so it's going to be using this, but emails are sent through this. So it means it is Zoho platform that is controlling it. But if you want a situation whereby you want your domain to be the one that would reflect here, why not? You can have your domain reflect there, because this will also be showing. I think this will be showing on one part of the documents. I can't remember. So maybe when we are doing our training, we are going to see that. So this will show you. So but if you make it you make this your domain, if you have a domain, you can actually configure that from here. So you can contact us if you want us to, because that's a different learning entirely. Then you choose your base currency. So maybe you do transactions on it, you can't change it again. So this is it. Then you choose your fiscal year. I explained to you what fiscal year is. So your calendar year, your financial year for your company, January to December. If you don't have anything, just choose January to December. Some companies have their home from let's say April to March, April 2021 to March 2022. So it has to be a full year. So that's what this means. So then language, your time zone, date format. Now company ID, this could be your registration number, your company registration number. So you could also include it. Then your VAT ID or your TIN number can also be included here. Now if you have some additional information, you can also add it. You can add it. All you just need to do is to give it just like a title here. What is a title? Then you give it the value. So these are just different things that are available. When you are done, you click on save. So So when you are done, you click on save. When you save, the system saves this information. If you don't save, the system is not going to save. So I don't want to, okay, let me just change this instead so I can save it. Let me save, let me click this. Okay, so let's say that I've entered all these and I click on save. So the system tried to reload. So now this is it. So it has saved that on the system. Then I can come back here. Now what we have done is, so if you like, you can use this back. You understand? You can use this back to come here, or still on that same page. Still on this same page, you have your users here. So now the next aspect is for us to create our users and our roles. So users and roles. Now, like I explained to you, so what this will do is that you can invite users. The system has its predefined roles. So these are the predefined roles. Now, if you're an admin, now because I'm using a free version, so that is why I cannot do. There are some things I won't be able to do here, but the system, for now, you can give everybody. Okay, now look at the staff. If you say staff, it means access to all modules except report and everything. But if you are using, there's something we call the Zoho books that does not involve inventory. So if you are using Zoho books, so Zoho books is like a complete, to give you a complete accounting or bookkeeping record. So if you are using that, you will be able to create your own roles. You will be able to define different roles on the system. Now, all access to all modules, transaction, and data of assigned customers, etc. So these are just the things. So I would advise you, if you are starting, you can give everybody. You can have the admin, then give others what's it called, staff. Give every other one, give that stuff. Then if you want to do that, all you just need to do is just to come here. You click on this invite user. Let me see what is here. You click on invite user. Now invite user would ask you for the email address of the person. To ask you for the email address of the person. For instance, if this email address is let me see. At gmail.com. Then I'll just type so then what if I'm giving the person, I'm telling the person is a staff, so which means access to all modules except report and settings. So I say send, so it sends a mail to this email address. Sends a mail to that email address. So that email address, you can see the person is invited. So the person would have to click a link. So click a link, and that link will now direct you back. The link will tell you to give a password. You give your password, then it will now direct you back into the application. So what this user is going to see is, it will see just only all modules except report and settings. What it means. So you can always come here to check the activities of what that person has done. We are still going to get there so that I can show you. We are going to see what the person has been doing on the system, just like you saying an audit trail. So we are going to see it from here. So those are just the only thing. Let me go back. So you can always edit. Yes, you can always edit at every point in time. Now let me go back. So So if the person wants to add his picture, all he just need to do manage. I think manage, if I understand. Okay, sorry, let me go back. I think this module doesn't allow. So let me just go back to that. We'll just focus on what we want to do. So that is how to create users and attach them to their roles. That's how to create users and attach them to their roles. Now the next thing is for us to create new organization. Like I told you, please, like I told you, don't create organization, don't create any new organization. So if you want to create new organization, then what's it called? It's better you can create new organization, but you treat them as a different company. So all you just need to do is now come here. If you come to this place and come to manage, and you click on new organization. Understand? So you click on new organization. Now what the system says, you can clone the settings from an existing organization and have the same pre-configured in the new organization. However, so which means whatever setting that is here is going to create it in the new organization, but it's not going to take your data. Not going to take your data. It's not going to take your transactions. Please take note of that. It's going to create new settings, but it's not going to create your data. So if I say you should clone new settings, so it's going to clone it. But if I say add new organization, it means it's going to create it like a new one entirely. So if I do like this, create new. So just like the same info place we left the other time when we wanted to create, so it's the same thing that is going to give to you here. So that's just the essence of this. Let me just go back, leave this page. Let's go back. So that's why I say it is optional. So I just wanted I wanted to explain to you. Now I've told you about users role, and now task setup. We need to create task setup on the system. And how do we do that? So all you just need to do under your task setup, come here, see task setup, just come to task, see under your settings, then you come down, you click on settings, you come down, you see the task setup. You can add your task on the system. You can add tasks, or if you have an existing one, maybe the policy of the country changes tomorrow, is no longer 7.5 as VAT as of today in Nigeria is 7.5. So these are I'm going to be, since they are the same thing for my sales and also my purchases, so I'll be using 7.5. So that's why I just created VAT, so value added tax. So then I have 7.5. You can always create your own on the system. Now also you could have some situations whereby your tax is compound tax. You can also tick this. So you can tick it to show that it is a compound tax. So otherwise you cancel. Now also you can add new tax group, adding like maybe for instance the tax filing is different. You have 5% and you have another one 7.5. Let's say 7.5 is to the federal government and 5% is to the state government. So the best thing for you to do, and you know that at the point whereby you want to generate your sales, you need the system to match them together, because everything goes into a single sale. So you can actually do that, but it's going to calculate it for you. It's going to give you 7.5 plus 5%. But when it comes to remitting or filing, it's going to separate it. So, but as of today, it is 7.5 as VAT. So just click 7.5 here. You don't need any other thing. Click on new. Just click on new like this. It's going to ask you what is the new VAT. What is the rate? 7.5, and click on save. That is all. So situations whereby it is not, for instance, if it is okay, if you have a job, or if it is an estate management, what's it called, that I'm using this, but I don't need to create tax for them. So in that situation, I don't need to create tax. Now we move on to the next one, and the next one is what? Okay, just like that's the modification. The modification I was saying is, or if you want to modify it, you just come here, edit, and if you want to delete it also, you can do that from there. You just, with 7.5, you can change that from that level. If you want to delete, you can click on delete also on the system. So now currencies and exchange rates. Currencies and exchange rates. So still under this, just click on currencies. Now the system comes with a predefined what's it called, currencies. You can add yours. If there is a particular customer you are dealing with, or based on the setup you are doing for your client, they have specific customers with different currency. You can add the new currency. You just click on new, then you select new currency. Then I think this is currency code. So if you have any currency code, you can, like for instance, if it is Nigeria, all I just do NGN tab. That's for Nigeria because this has been added already. So each country have their own code. So you should know the code that you are going to be using. So you just, if it is for South Africa, don't know if South Africa is created. Okay, South Africa is created here, so I can use RAN. So different codes that are there. Then you give it the symbol. If you need a symbol for that, then you need a currency name. So Nigeria Naira, like this, I created one. I call it Nigeria Naira. The decimal, then how do you want the format to look like? So you can change your format. So this, I will advise you just use this, which is the Naira and the Kobo. So there's a dot in between to show this thing. Then I just click on save when I'm done. You can also increase your decimal places here if you wish to do that, but I am going to already exist. Okay, cancel. So I can modify this. So you can also still modify by going to anyone you want to do and just modify this. You can't change the code again, so you can change that. So these are the different codes. You can create your own. Now when you create a currency, it's better to have an exchange rate to start with. You can have an exchange rate. So if you need to use an exchange rate, because I am transacting in Naira, so whatever exchange rate has to be must be on the other currencies. So if it is on other currencies, so for instance, how much is a naira? How much is a naira? How much is $1 to naira? How much is how much naira will make $1? Let me use that one. How much dollar will make $1? How much naira will make $1? So in that situation, all I just need to do is to click on view exchange rate. Let me go back. I want to show you something so that sorry, I want to show you something here. Now if I want to do that, I just click on edit, then you give it, you click on here, add exchange rate. So you click on add exchange rate. Now the system requires you give an exchange rate date. It is important because this is what the system will be using to check what do we call this, gain or loss. You're going to be using it to check your gain or loss. So these data are supposed to be separated from each other. You can have some transactions. Maybe you did transactions in January, or you created an exchange rate in January. Then there's another one in December. It is important for you to have an exchange rate in that January, because if you are doing transactions that should reflect in January, you don't want the system to use the December for it. You understand? So what is the exchange rate that happened? But if they are the same, it did not change, there is no problem. But as long as there is fluctuation that had happened between those times, please, it is important for you to do that. It is important for you to do that. It's advisable. There are two ways at which you can use the exchange rate on this system. There's two ways. So it's either you do it manually, that is entering it manually yourself, or you enable exchange rate field. So by default, if you create your own, what you will see here is disable exchange rate field, not enable. You are going to see disable exchange rate fields here, which means what exchange rate fields means is that the system is pulling the data from internet. So it's like it's using the spot rate as at that point in time that you want to do the transaction. So it's pulling that, so it gives an exchange. So the system is automatically giving you an exchange rate from the internet. So which means you cannot manipulate that. So it's advisable to do it manually. So just create your own manually. But situation whereby all things being equal, you believe and why not? You can use it. It's not. I'm not saying it is mandatory for you to use manual. No, you can also use the enable exchange rate. You can use it. You can tell the system, yeah, I don't want my staff to. I want to be able to monitor it in real time. So in that situation, why not? You can do that. You can do that. But now let's go. Let's move on, please. So I can click here. Now, if I click on view exchange rate, this view exchange rate will show me all the exchange rates I have ever entered on the system. Now, this I have entered so many exchange rates. I entered some in 2020. I did all this myself. So I entered it myself. So if I do a transaction, what this means is that if I do a transaction that I chose a date, maybe the date, let me say an invoice that was raised. There was an invoice raised in January, and that customer is a foreign customer. So in that situation, which means this is the exchange rate the system is going to use. You understand what I'm saying? So it's going to use this exchange rate. So it is important for you to take note of that exchange rate. Now, what about a situation whereby the customer makes payments? The customer makes payment in December. This is when the person makes the payment. But you have raised an invoice since January. Now, this customer now made a payment, foreign currency also, in December. So have you made a gain or loss? So the system will automatically calculate it for you based on what it has seen here, and also based on what was recorded in your invoice. So it may not be this alone. So it will also look at your invoice. So you look at your invoice and see that, oh, the invoice that you raised for a foreign customer was 460. But when you are making a payment, when the customer is making a payment, the payment had an exchange also of 580, which means this looks like a gain. So you mean you have gained already. You understand? So these are just the different ways at which the system on automate all your processes, so you don't need to do too many calculations, start calculating on how you do this. No, leave the system, let it do it itself. So that is that about our first level settings that I want to explain to you. Now the next class we are going to do will be on master files.